Printer's name, Bob Marley. Reason, it's always jammin'. But don't worry about the ink, 'cause everything you print is gonna come out white. A girl says to her mom, I want a Barbie and a G.I. Joe. Mom says, doesn't Barbie come with Ken? And the girl replies, no, Barbie comes with G.I. Joe. She just fakes it with Ken. A woman pregnant with triplets walked into a bank while it's being robbed. As she tries to call the cops, she gets shot in the stomach 3 times. Luckily, all of her children survive. 15 years later, one of her daughters comes up to her and says, Mom, I was peeing and a bullet came out. Then her other daughter walked into the room and says, Mom, I was peeing and a bullet came out. Finally, her son came in and she assumed she knew what he was going to say. Let me guess, you were peeing and a bullet came out? The son says, huh? No, I was masturbating and I shot the dog. A 4-year-old boy is showering with his mother one day, and the boy says, what's that hairy thing, Mom? Mom replies, that's my sponge. Oh, yes, says the boy, the babysitter has one too. I seen her washing Dad's face with it. Ah, the wonderful contemplations and consternations of being a mom. Should I sleep or shower? Well, I could sleep in the shower, but I'm also hungry. Son, Mom, what's a weekend? Mom, I don't know, sweetheart. I haven't had one since you were born. 90% of what a mom says after 6 p.m. usually ends with, or you can go to bed right now. Whoever wrote the song Easy Like Sunday Morning did not have kids. And if you're ever feeling like you're a bad mom or not doing a very good job, just remember that the mom from Home Alone was halfway to Paris when she realized she was missing a child. A cop pulls over an old lady for speeding on a highway. He asks her for her driver's license and registration, and when she opens her wallet, he notices a conceal and carry permit. He asks, ma'am, do you have a weapon in your possession at this time? The old lady says, I have a .38 special in my purse, a .45 in my glove box, a 9mm Glock in the center console, and a shotgun in my trunk. Jesus, lady, says the cop, what are you so afraid of? The old lady looks him right in the eye and says, not a fucking thing. A 3-year-old boy was examining his little testicles in the bathtub when he asked, Mom, are these my brains? Not yet, Mom says. So just for fun, I watched one of my videos at 1.5 times the speed. And let me tell you, if you think I'm hilarious now, just try watching me talking at 1.5 to 2 times faster. It's a game changer. What's the fastest land mammal? A toddler who's been asked, what's in your mouth? If at first you don't succeed, try doing it the way Mom told you to do it in the beginning. Knock, knock, who's there? Omelette. Omelette who? I'ma let Mommy sleep in today. A little boy walked in and caught his mom riding his dad one Saturday morning. The little boy said, Mom, what are you doing? She said, son, your daddy's stomach is too big, so I sit on top of it to flatten it out. He said, Mommy, you're wasting your time, 'cause when you're not here, the lady next door gets on her knees and blows it back up. Who remembers how exciting it was when the teacher would roll in the overhead projector? 3 guys were fishing on a lake one day when an angel appeared in the boat. When the 3 astonished men had settled down enough to speak, the first guy asked the angel humbly, I've suffered from back pain ever since I took shrapnel in the Vietnam War. Could you help me? Of course, the angel said, and when he touched the man's back, the man felt relief for the first time in years. The second guy, who wore very thick glasses and had a hard time reading and driving, asked if the angel could do anything about his poor eyesight. The angel smiled, removed the man's glasses, and tossed him into the lake. When they hit the water, the man's eyes had cleared up, and he could see everything clearly and distinctly. When the angel turns to the third guy, he puts out his hands defensively and says, "Don't touch me, I'm on disability." One day, the teacher asked the children in class to give examples of what was not good to put in your mouth. Little Johnny says, "It is not good to put a lit light bulb in one's mouth." The teacher says, "That is correct, but why?" Little Johnny answers, "I don't know, miss, but I always hear my mom tell my dad, 'Turn off the light before you put it in my mouth.'" Why does the Easter Bunny hide his eggs? He doesn't want anyone to know he fucks chickens. A young man was showing off his new sports car to his girlfriend, and she was thrilled with the speed. "If I do 200, will you take off all your clothes?" The girlfriend felt adventurous and says, "Yeah, of course." So he brought the car up to the 200-kilometer-an-hour benchmark. However, he was unable to keep his eyes on the road, and the car swerved and then flipped over. The naked girl was thrown clear out of the car, but the boyfriend got stuck in a hole. "Go and get help," he yelled. "I can't, I'm naked." "Take my shoe," he said, "and cover yourself." Holding the shoe to her pubic area, she ran off down the road. She came to a gas station and ran inside to the attendant. "Please help, my boyfriend got stuck in a hole." The attendant looked at her, and then he looked at the shoe and says, "I'm sorry, ma'am, there's nothing I can do. He's too far in." Kid, "Mom, can I get $20? Mom, "Does it look like I'm made of money?" Kid, "Well, isn't that what Mom stands for?" A policeman pulls over a farmer for speeding and proceeds to start writing him a ticket. The farmer notices some flies buzzing around, annoying the officer. The policeman is shooing the flies away more than he's writing. The farmer says, "I see you're being bothered by those circle flies." The policeman says, "If that's what you call them, yeah, they're somewhat annoying." The farmer says, "Yeah, we call them that because we see them circling around the rear ends of horses." The policeman says, "Did you just call me a horse's ass?" The farmer says, "Oh, no, sir, officer. I have way too much respect for those who serve in law enforcement to ever say such a thing." The policeman says, "Well, that's a good thing then." The farmer adds, "But it's sure hard to fool those circle flies." A pretty young woman was pulled over for speeding. An Oregon state trooper walked over to her car while flipping open his ticket book. The young woman says to the trooper, "I bet you're going to sell me a ticket to the state trooper's ball, aren't you?" "No, ma'am," he replied. "Oregon state troopers don't have balls." There was a moment of silence. And right then, the cop closed his ticket book, tipped his hat, and walked back to the car. The preacher's Sunday sermon was "Forgive your enemies," and he asked how many in the congregation had forgiven their enemies. About half held up their hands. Then he repeated the question. Now about 80% held up their hands. He then repeated the question once more. All responded except an elderly lady. "Mrs. Johnson, are you not willing to forgive your enemies?" he asked. "I don't have any." "Mrs. Johnson, that is very unusual. How old are you?" "I'm 93, she replied. "Mrs. Johnson, please come down in front and tell the congregation how a person cannot have an enemy in the whole world." The little sweetheart of a lady tottered herself down the aisle and said, "I outlived every one of those bitches." Never doubt a mother. She can carry a screaming toddler, 2 jugs of milk, talk on her cell phone, and still shoot you daggers for looking at her crazy. Silence is golden. Unless you have small kids, then silence is suspicious. I asked a police recruit during an exam, what would you do if you had to arrest your own mother? He said, call for backup, men. Have you ever brought a girl home to meet your mom and she looks at the girl and says, you can do better? A guy's making mad, passionate love with his wife, when all of a sudden he looks over and there in the hallway is his son. The kid looks horrified and he runs away. The guy says to his wife, well, I better go talk to Timmy. He puts on his clothes and goes to Timmy's room. When he opens the door, there's Timmy having sex with Grandma. The father goes, oh my God, what are you doing? And Timmy says, Not so funny when it's your mom, is it?